Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. I apologize again about the internet issues yesterday. So I'm going to record chapter 4 and chapter 5 and show you the two activities. That way you can look at these two lectures at your leisure and then get the discussion, participate in the discussion, accomplish that. All right, so we're going to talk about body image. Body image refers to a person's inner picture of his or her outer appearance. So it's how you feel about the way you look. Two components of body image include one's perception of their appearance and their emotional response to that perception. Okay. The development of body image is very different for boys and girls. Boys and girls experience a decrease in body esteem during middle school when their bodies are changing and hormones are kicking in, with boys recovering typically sooner than girls. The common denominator is the thin body ideal, which can create a negative effect or a depression and low levels of self-esteem. At this age, a lot of young children look at people they look up to, like Taylor Swift and athletes, and they want a body type that is similar to the people that they emulate. Body image dissatisfaction is not an automatic outcome, but feedback from peers and family about health and appearance can protect against body dissatisfaction. Like, oh, you look fine, you look great in that. And, you know, you're super healthy and coordinated and you've got a lot to be grateful for. And those kinds of comments help protect against body dissatisfaction. There are some factors that are associated with body dissatisfaction, some biological factors. When you neglect a body part, I don't know if you've ever gone to the beach with someone and then they're afraid to take off their tennis shoes because they may have not clipped their toenails in a while. That's a neglected body part. Epilepsy, migraines can produce, you know, you kind of tend to protect yourself from bright lights and a lot of noise and changing images. If you were to go to one of those Daisy concerts or carnivals or whatever with a lot of strobe lights and fluorescent lights, it can contribute to an epilepsy episode or migraines, things like that. Biologically determined characteristics, whether you have culturally apparent body characteristics, curly hair, color of hair, freckles, lips, nose, you know, long legs, things like that. Those can be a body dissatisfaction potential issue. Actual body size, if you're short of stature, if you're super tall, if you've got long legs, if you're small in small size, those things can contribute to body dissatisfaction. With culture, there are some associated body dissatisfaction issues. Maybe there are preferred body features with certain cultures, and if you don't have them, that could be a source of poor self-esteem. The degree with which you identify with your cultural heritage, if you don't look anything like your ancestors, if you don't look anything like your heritage, then that can be a good thing or a bad thing. It can contribute to body dissatisfaction. Shifts in beauty ideal over time from what looks great, you know, being able to grow a full beard or to have, if you're Polynesian, to be able to grow your hair long, you know, things like that, those shifts in body ideal over time, whether you should have a really tiny middle, or really long legs, those kinds of things can shift. Parental concerns and behaviors about their own bodies. If you've got parents that constantly look in the mirror and say, do I look fat in this? Do I look okay? Does this make my butt look big? Things like that. Those kinds of issues tend to permeate in children because of the role models, that the parental role models that are really illustrating those behaviors as being okay, or parental criticism of the child's body, like, oh, go change, that doesn't look right on you, or oh, you're gaining some weight, you might want to not wear that skimpy little skirt or whatever. Peers also can contribute to body dissatisfaction. Appearance norms and ideals that are dictated, like, are you wearing the same thing as your friends? Do you have the same tennis shoes or the same blue jeans or different, a bit different type of backpack? You know, is it a Herschel backpack? Is it a Nike backpack? Is it a backpack with wheels? Which I sent my first son to kindergarten with a backpack with wheels, and he came home in tears saying that kids made fun of him. So you don't want to do backpacks with wheels, evidently, when you're that young. Individuals' perceptions that peers consider weight and shape as really important, or a certain body type that's promoted. Like, why are you going to try to play soccer? You're way too heavy to play soccer. You won't be able to run up and down the field. There can be teasing, either within your peer group or outside of your peer group, weight-related teasing, low peer group emphasis on body image. There might be peer groups for kids that are in robotics or play chess or what have you, that could care less whether somebody wears glasses or is overweight or is super skinny or is kind of geeky or something like that. And then that can also contribute to the body image. Media puts out their own images, whether they're unrealistic or unrepresentative of the general population. All the selfies that are out there have been curated to only be the best selfie that they can take. Of the 90,000 that they've already got on their phone, they only put the best ones out there. High media exposure, if you are a model or if you are in television or if you are you have a paparazzi following that take a lot of pictures of you, and if they are unflattering, then that can contribute to some body dissatisfaction. Previous experience with the media, and I've had friends take pictures of me at events or parties that were really not flattering, and then they post them, and I've asked them to please take them down. The best thing you can do is to ask those individuals that are in your photos if they mind if you post them. That kind of helps to curb that dissatisfaction with unflattering pictures. There can be social and cultural environmental contributions to body dissatisfaction. Special high-risk environments, combinations of relationships between media, family, peers, and that sort of thing. They can all contribute to body dissatisfaction issues. And then puberty, there are different rates of development. There are changes in girls. If you are a young girl that develops quite early, then that can cause problems if you are not emotionally equipped to handle the attention that comes with an early developmental rate of your body. Changes in girls that that are very apparent, and again, that whole emotional developmental piece. If girls sprout up and get really tall and develop, and they get catcalls and honks from cars, that, you know, if they're walking down the street and they're still quite young, they may not know how to handle those kinds of things. Sexual abuse victims, there are plenty of body disturbances associated with young people who have been sexually abused. Even as much as touch can be, they can be hypersensitive to touch. Weight preoccupation, they can be very preoccupied with their own weight, and sexual harassment that goes along with being overly developed and having been abused in the past or mistreated in the past. Other issues that follow with gender and sexual orientation, who these individuals may devalue a certain body type, or if they are overweight, or whether they are homosexual, or the size of their body. Those can all contribute to body dissatisfaction and may promote that individual to want to change their body. There are psychological effects: depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, negative emotionality with not feeling good about the way that your body represents who you are, can contribute to depression and self-esteem issues. There are visible differences that can be apparent, and there are invisible differences that also play a role in body dissatisfaction, whether it is referred to as disfigurement, an abnormality, a deformity, or a defect. An individual's appearance plays a part in first impressions. Visible differences can result from congenital anomalies. In other words, what you're born with can be, what do you call them? There couldn't be port wine stains, which is like a birth, gosh, I'm forgetting what they're called. When you have any sort of birth sign, one of my sons has a strawberry, a red kind of strawberry on the back of his neck. Another one of my sons has, in his brown hair, he's got like a little patch of very, very, very blonde hair. And it is lightened over time, but it is still like a, I don't know, a birth anomaly. And illness, injury, surgical interventions, they all play a part in those visible differences. If you've had surgeries in the past, you may have a scar, then you may not want to take off your shirt kind of thing at the beach, or whatever. Visible differences may be congenital, like you're born with them, or they are acquired. Congenital differences from birth, such as cleft palate or neurofibromatosis, become evident or more evident over time. And there are also age-related issues that appear in early childhood, school age, or adolescence. Other visible differences include like cerebral palsy, open heart surgeries, where you would have a pretty apparent scar, spinal cord injuries, cancers, other conditions. With cancer, it usually centers around not having your hair after chemotherapy or radiation, or losing a limb or something to that effect. Less visible differences: obesity, which has a psychological component or impact, that is equally disturbing from the stigma, bullying, and social isolation. And then distorted body image. Individuals who work in an industry that demands thinness, like acting, modeling, or dancing, as an example. Athletes who must weigh in, like wrestling, running, cycling, swimming, gymnastics, cheerleading, things like that. Individuals with depression, survivors of sexual abuse, children of alcoholic parents, that you can devalue your body if you have had a parent who has substance or alcohol abuse, and you're then afraid that if you partake that you are going to end up just like your parent. High achievers, girls with fathers, and I don't get this, who simultaneously avoid them and who are critical of their weight. Maybe fathers may find their daughters attractive and then try to avoid. Children of parents who diet and talk about dieting constantly. And then there are other special considerations. So that is chapter 4 in a nutshell. And then the body perceptions comparison is this assignment right here. I want you to draw 3 silhouettes of yourself. One of them is how others see you. One of them is how you see yourself and how you wish to be seen. And then I've written on the top of mine that others see me as being just fine. I see myself as being chunky. I'd like to be very thin. Okay, but you know, I'll just keep wishing. So this is kind of a sampling of what you need to do for the body image drawing. All right. And then I need to share with you chapter 5. And again, the discussion is about body image, and you are to submit your initial post according to the prompt, talking about if your body has gone through any changes, you know, from puberty to from high school to college to maybe having children or what have you, and how you feel about that. Okay, if you haven't had any ill feelings about your body changes, then maybe you can talk about any piercings or tattoos or things like that, and how it helps you to cover up scars or just, you know, draw attention to your body in a different way. All right, so we're going to talk about group interaction. Group interaction and socialization. What are the benefits of group interaction? They are many. Peer interactions are essential to growth during certain stages of childhood because of those social skills that you pick up from your peers. And they are reflected in the psychosocial needs of sick and hospitalized children as well. So those peer interactions, those coming together activities in an activity room where hospitalized children meet other hospitalized children and say, oh, you have an IV, I have an IV. How many pokes did that take? My IV was started with 2 pokes and I didn't cry. And they just kind of compare and contrast, you know, their experiences. And it's a good way to kind of help children in healthcare understand a little bit more about the environment, about medical encounters, and to kind of overcome the idea that they're not the only one in the hospital enduring the experiences that they have been asked to endure. A critical factor in helping children cope with hospitalization is maintaining a sense of routine, having a familiar environment and familiar activities. That is what bonds children to one another, that familiarity. Contact with peers can promote social and communication skills greater self-confidence and independence among pediatric patients. And peer-to-peer support can positively influence children's coping and also their healthcare outcomes, whether they have a good experience or not such a good experience. There are different types of socialization and support. There are skill building groups, support groups, where you learn cognitive behavioral therapy skills or CBT techniques of how to look at a new situation from a different perspective and to reframe your thinking so that new experiences aren't so scary, but they're more, you can be very investigative about it or very excited about it because you're going to learn something new. So CBT training is really cognitively reframing your perception. And then reframing your outcome, whatever the response is to that. And then support groups, which can be either diagnosis or age related. And then online support, chat rooms and websites and just gaming online can be very supportive. Unless you have a negative experience from gaming online. In healthcare, we do, child life specialists are facilitators of support group. There are some special considerations before we initiate a support group. And one of those considerations is how do you maximize the involvement of everyone in the group through group-centered actions? And how I would do facilitate a support group, I would have a general art activity, which takes the focus off of all of the individuals so that they are feeling a little bit more expressive and free to participate, because the focus isn't just about passing the talking stick or whatever it is, but you're concentrated on doing an art project, and then it just kind of effervesces out of individuals. It's like, hey, do you have the same diagnosis that I have? Yeah. When did your diagnosis present? You know, was it when you were young? Were you born with it, or was it afterwards, or what have you? And they just kind of start talking on their own. We also make sure that everyone in the group has equal time to share, and not one person maximizes or monopolizes the time, the conversation. We maximize a sense of individual and group identity by making sure everyone meets each other. They kind of share something interesting about themselves to just kind of break the ice. We facilitate the flow of the experience by making sure everyone has equal time, where there's spontaneous involvement, and that there's equal member support and feedback. Okay, so basically you have to lay the groundwork. When we start a support group, we do our homework. We have to determine, is there an interest in this population, whether it's an age population or a diagnosis related? What time of day? Is it after school that would benefit them? Is there an interest? What should we provide to make sure that they participate? Maybe it's food, maybe it's an art project, maybe it's a gift card if they participate in this support group. Decide on the structure of the group. Is it Zoom? Is it face-to-face? Do you meet at an art studio? Do you meet at a park? Do you have to set the norms and expectations of what is acceptable communication. No one's gonna talk down to each other. No one's gonna make each other feel bad, or you have to set the norms and expectations and assure that there is participation for all. And then the activity for this chapter is one thing that young kiddos tend to use is an autograph book. And they can use this by having other people in the group or activity sign their name, maybe write their email address or their phone number, something like that. And what I did was just put two pieces of construction paper together. It looked like this, and I folded it, stapled it at the top, wrote autographs, and I have an autograph here. And I wrote John Stamos's name, but he is my friend and he would have gladly signed it for me. But so that's the autograph book as a way to kind of be an icebreaker and meet and greet other kiddos of the same age or same diagnosis. What I am probably not going to cover today is the PowerPoint that I have on the support group that I facilitate. These are some of the activities that I've created for them: journaling, who am I posters, developing a collage about, writing a college entrance essay, decorating wood framed mirrors, scrapbooking ideas. We also have done collages about what your hopes and dreams are, cutting pictures out of magazines, scrapbooking ideas. The support group that I facilitate is with HIV patients. We play HIV Jeopardy, and I have a whole poster board with all the categories, and this is how they learn about their diagnosis and or more about their diagnosis and how it affects their body and that sort of thing. And they compete against each other and win prizes. We have done inspirational quotes on blocks of wood, and we paint the blocks first and then we write inspirational quotes. We've done an HIV cell piñata where we've taken a big balloon and we've covered it with starch and tissue paper, not tissue paper, newsprint, and then we pop the balloon and then we cover it with tissue paper and starch and make it look like an HIV cell. This is what some of those inspirational blocks look like. We've done teen group masks. Here I said I wasn't going to show you all this stuff. We've done printmaking. This is what the HIV piñata looks like. We were going to fill it with condoms, and then at the last minute, they changed their mind and they wanted chocolate. So we hung it from a tree, and we took a piñata stick and we just whacked the crap out of it until all the chocolate fell out. And I do some transitioning with young adults into adult healthcare, and these are kind of the steps. I teach them also about, this is another visual about the steps of transitioning into adult care. Teach them life skills, how to grocery shop for themselves, how to cook, how to do their own laundry, and so forth. And here I said I wasn't going to show you this, but here I'm showing you. So, and hopefully that helps you understand a little bit more how Child Life facilitates support group. Okay, that's what I have for you, and enjoy it at your leisure.